Hello, good afternoon. A damning report on the culture of the London Fire Brigade has found that it is institutionally misogynist and racist. The independent review was carried out after a black trainee firefighter took his own life 2 years ago. The report was carried out by the former Chief Crown Prosecutor for the North West of England, Nazir Afzal, who says he has no doubt that similar problems exist in other fire brigades across the country. The London Fire Brigade is promising immediate changes to its disciplinary processes. Helena Wilkinson has this report.
Misogyny, racism, bullying, a shocking culture which has been uncovered at the London Fire Brigade. Example after example of abuse and poor behaviour at almost all levels of the organisation.
I sat with a very senior female officer who said to me, through tears, that whenever she goes into a dangerous incident, she's always thinking, will the men around me protect me, given how much they have treated me as dirt back at the station? That was not one person. That was many, many people.
Other incidents at the London Fire Brigade include a black firefighter having a noose put by his locker, men huddled around a screen watching porn at some fire stations, and women being sexually taunted. The report said the behaviour of some brigade staff left a clear trail of psychological harm.
This report has to be a watershed moment where we get rid of the institutional racism, homophobia and discrimination that exists in our fire service. It's possible to say we've got some wonderful firefighters. We saw that during the summer when they dealt with the wildfires in our city because of the heat waves. But there are serious problems in the fire brigade.
The brigade's commissioner, Andy Rowe, said he was deeply sorry for the harm that had been caused.
It's the report of 2,000 people in the London Fire Brigade who have told their story, and therefore it cannot be ignored. It cannot be just put down to a few bad apples. We've got to look at the systems and the leadership that have enabled, those most terrible examples to happen and not be dealt with, I don't think, in the way they should have been.
Going forward, he said, it would be completely clear to staff what behaviour wasn't acceptable and what the consequences would be. Helena Wilkinson, BBC News.
Well, let's get more on this now with our correspondent Louisa Pilbeam, who's just been at a news conference being held by the London Fire Brigade. Louisa, what more can you tell us?
Well, I spoke directly with the Commissioner, Andy Rowe, and I was very struck by how candid he was to me. He said that he is heartbroken by the findings of this report and that he's appalled. And very interestingly, he said that he expects to dismiss people after the findings of the report, that people will lose their jobs, although there's no further details on that at the moment. Now, he said that he will implement all of the recommendations, and he was very clear that there will be action taken. He said within the next 6 months to a year there will be changes. And I also asked him about women and are they safe to be in the fire service, in the London Fire Brigade, and he said that he is concerned but that they should still join the fire service and be involved.
OK, Louisa, thank you very much indeed. Rail passengers are facing more disruption this weekend as thousands of train drivers go on strike. 11 companies are affected with limited or no services. The walkout by members of the ASLEF union is part of a long-running dispute over pay. Well, our business correspondent Noor Nanji has the latest for us from Euston Station in London. What's the latest from there?
Well, here at Euston, the station is open. That's because the tube is still running and services are still running on the London Overground. That's after strike action there was suspended. But all other rail services here have been heavily disrupted by this action. Now, behind me, you can see representatives from ASLEF, the train drivers union, who are behind this strike. They want wages to keep up with the rising cost of living. The government calls the strike action disappointing and says that this dispute has dragged on far too long. And now there is there's no doubt that all of this is having a big impact on people's weekend plans. Inside the station, it's a lot quieter than what you might expect on a normal Saturday afternoon. And don't forget, this is a very big shopping weekend. You've got the Black Friday sales going on. People are normally heading into London to take advantage of that. Of course, the World Cup is also happening at the moment, so people might be trying to get together with their family and friends. Now, this is just a 24-hour walkout, but we have been told that there could be some knock-on disruption into Sunday. So the advice for passengers is to check before you travel.
OK, Noah, thank you very much indeed. Noah Nanji there at London's Euston Station. Look now at some of the day's other news stories. And in Italy, 8 people have died in a landslide on the island of Ischia. Heavy rain caused mud to slide down a hillside and to engulf some buildings. The infrastructure minister has said rescuers are continuing to work in difficult conditions to look for people who are missing. The island, which is 20 miles off the coast of Naples, is a popular holiday destination. Social media footage from China appears to show people in the western Xinjiang region protesting against COVID restrictions. It follows a fire in a block of flats which killed at least 10 people and has raised questions as to whether lockdown rules prevented people from escaping. Demonstrators in the city of Urumqi could be seen apparently arguing with officials and trying to break through barriers. Now, let's catch up on all the day's sports news for you, including the World Cup. Here's Gavin at the BBC Sports Centre. Hi, Gavin.
Yes, hi there, Ben. Thank you very much indeed. After disappointing performances yesterday, England and Wales will meet each other in their final World Cup group match on Tuesday. Despite their goalless draw with the USA, England are on the verge of reaching the knockout stage. But Wales know they have to beat England and hope results go their way if they're to reach the last 16. Let's join John Watson now in Doha. John, good to see you. A mountain for Wales to climb, isn't it?
Hi, Gavin. It is, but there is still a way in which Wales and England can qualify from their group. If Iran and the United States both draw in their final group game, well, a win for Wales over England would be enough to see them through. But if the United States or Iran were to win, well, that's where Wales will need to beat England by 4 clear goals in that final group game to come next Tuesday. Now, we know that England have returned to training today. We saw James Maddison return to full training for the first time since he touched down here in Doha, one of 2 players alongside Kyle Walker who've been carrying injuries in that England camp. But a boost for Gareth Southgate, the England manager, who is all too aware now that there is a huge amount at stake for both England and Wales heading into that final group game on Tuesday.
We've got to stay calm. You know, it's they're going to be. We know the pride they have. We know that they've got some players that can hurt you. So, you know, we're still a bit of work to do to qualify, and also, if possible, we want to try and win the group. So there's a lot to play for.
Certainly is indeed there. And John, we've also had one match this morning, haven't we? Australia against Tunisia.
Yes, the action already back underway at this World Cup, Gavin. We saw Australia, of course, who lost to France in their opening group game up against Tunisia, a match they won 1-0, which boosts their chances now of reaching the last 16. As Craig Templeton reports.
Every game at a World Cup means something. A win for Tunisia would set their sights on reaching the knockout stage for the first time. Australia needed to bounce back from defeat to stay in the fight. The Socceroos scored the opener in that 4-1 loss to France, and here was no different. Mitchell Duke rising to the occasion.
It's the big man who's got it, and the breakthrough that they so desired.
Australia 1 up, thumbs up. The next time the ball hit Duke's head, though, he was nowhere near as happy. But after a few choice words, an apology and a handshake, it was time to move on. And the chances were starting to move in favour of Tunisia, Youssef Msakni with the best of them. After the break, Australia sprang back into life, and it looked more likely they'd get a second rather than a Tunisian equaliser. But that next goal never arrived, and that means Australia have their first World Cup win since 2010 and could still make the knockouts. Craig Templeton, BBC News.
Big win for Australia there. And John, just finally, plenty still to look forward to today, right?
There is indeed, Gavin. Yes, all eyes will be on Argentina and their star man Lionel Messi as they chase that win which they need desperately if they're to reach the last 16 in their match to come. Of course, they lost to Saudi Arabia in that surprise result in the opening match, one of the shocks of the World Cup so far. They're back in action as well when they take on Poland, and then it's the late game. France, the holders, of course, they're back in action after their opening victory when they take the field against one of the dark horses at this World Cup, Denmark. France, though, if they can win again, 2 wins from 2, it would see them safely negotiate their route into the last 16 of this World Cup as they look to go on and win this trophy for a second World Cup running. Gavin.
John Watson, thank you very much indeed. John Watson in Doha there, mingling amongst the fans there, as we can see. And that is not the only football today, Ben. The FA Cup second round takes place as well, with 2 matches on the BBC. Kings Lynn against Stevenage is on from 12:30. And later, 7th tier Ulfchurch play Forest Green Rovers. But that's all the sport from us for now.
Gavin, many thanks indeed. See you later on. The American actress, singer and songwriter Irene Cara has died in Florida. She was 63. Irene Cara rose to stardom in 1980 in the musical Fame, in which she sang the title track. 4 years later, she won an Oscar and a Grammy for the title song in the movie Flashdance. Her publicist described her as a beautifully gifted soul whose legacy would live forever through her music and films. And you can see more on all of today's stories on the BBC News channel. The next news on BBC One is at 5:10. Goodbye for now.